Good evening, and welcome to BP News. For tonight's story, the worst name for a ball python gene is causing mass hysteria and confusion amongst breeders and hobbyists alike. The name of this gene? Het Red Axanthic. Is it a het, or is it an incomplete dominant? Tonight we have a full investigation into the Het Red Axanthic gene as we try to get to the bottom of all the confusion. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss this. Alright, so here is the base form of Het Red Axanthic. It looks kind of similar to a normal, much darker in my opinion. Has almost a full dorsal stripe of black, and you can see these little faded spots right here along the spine. And you can kind of see that translate in the other combos that you'll see coming up in the video here. But this young lady looks like she wants to take a run for it, but this, like I said, is either the worst or the best name for the gene, because Het Red Axanthic confuses everybody. They think, okay, if I breed a Het Red Axanthic to a normal, I'm going to have all normals possible Het Red Axanthic, and that's not the case. Odds say that 50% will be Het Red Axanthic visuals and 50% will be normal, non-hets. So I know that's confusing, but this is the base form of Het Red Axanthic right here. A very dark, almost a solid black back type animal. It has the blushing over the spine. You gotta look kind of close to see it, but it's there. And it also has kind of a blush spot on the head here. So yeah, this is the single gene, and I like to give a little run of the body here. See all the white tracers there around the alien heads? Really cool. I really like Het Red Axanthic. I think it's one of those really underrated and underworked genetics. And so I'm going to give it a good try. I'm going to give it a good college try. See what we can come up with here. I think that we can bring this one back to life. Hey, if Spot Nose can do it, I think Het Red Axanthic can as well. So this is the base genetic of Het Red Axanthic. All right, next up here, we have a mystic Het Red Axanthic. Unfortunately, this young lady here is in shed, so it's kind of hard to see what it looks like in a combo. But again, you can see those white traced alien heads. We can see or you can see better when it's not in shed, but they're blushing over the spine right here. Definitely has a genetic black back type look to it. And I really, really wish that this girl was not in shed, because I mean, it's way different. I don't think this is going to do her justice. Her pattern's really cool. She has a cool iridescence to her. Starts really black and in the middle, and towards the head and tail, it almost looks like a completely different snake. But this is a mystic Het Red Axanthic. Pretty cool. All right, so here we have two of technically the same genetics, but they're variable. So this animal here was more of so they're both, I'm sorry, I should have started with this. These are both lesser Het Red Axanthics. But as you can see, they look very different. Same genetics, technically, but different moms. This mom looked more like your lesser platinum lesser, and this mom looked more like your butter looking lesser. So this one actually has a dorsal stripe, which is weird because all the other ones we saw were genetic blackback type. And the alien heads are really variable here. It still has the blushing. It starts dark and works its way lighter down the sides, which is a cue for me. And really, it looked much different than the other lessers in the clutch. So this is just the lesser Het Red Axanthic, more of your lesser platinum type, where this one was bred to more of a butter looking animal. So it has a really cool, if it'll let me show you, neck stripe here. And it almost runs the whole way down the back. There's a little blemish right there. And then as it gets down to the tail like the other ones, it gets a little busier. But this animal is really cool. And I really like the brick red. And again, this one, unfortunately, I think is about to go into shed. It's a little duller than it normally is. It usually has a lot more like brick red or adobe. Really cool. I like the alien head, super busy, almost symmetrical running down. I love the black back. Nice clean belly for the most part, and really different. So the only difference is the mom, and they're both lessers. Both moms are lessers. So really crazy variance between these two snakes that should technically hold the same genetics. But really liked how they turned out. Lesser Het Red Axanthic. Alright, so here we have a less common combination with Het Red Axanthic, which I don't really think any of them are common at this point. This is a GHI Het Red Axanthic. So lots of blacks. It looks like it pulls the pattern away from the top of the dorsal. It definitely has these blushed areas over the spine. The GHI and the Het Red Axanthic really clean up the alien heads. Where normally with GHI you would find freckling and actual eyes within those. Those seem to be almost gone. The only places they exist are kind of up towards the head and the tail, where as we saw with the other Het Red Axanthics, that's where most of their pattern was, where the middle was kind of just washed out and clean. So that holds true here. This snake, and I don't know if the camera is picking it up, is super iridescent. I mean, it has a shimmer and a sheen to it like it's a white-lip python. Really, really, really beautiful. I'm really liking this combo, and I'm going to continue to flower off of this as a base. So like I said, not a very common combination, but this is a GHI Het Red Axanthic, and really cool, in my opinion. Alright, last but not least here, we have the same genetics as the last one, the GHI and the Het Red Axanthic, but in this situation, we have added black pastel. And so you can see it again. The pattern towards the head and the tail is a little more frequent and a little more busy. It's definitely darker at the tail in this situation, where the middle is super faded, big blushings all the way across the dorsal here. Really faint alien heads all along the sides, getting harder and harder to pick out in the snake as you add these dark layers and dark genetics to them. I'd really like to even add Mystic to this, just because I think it really look cool. Mystic GHIs are pretty awesome, and then they stay really dark, and so I think that color palette would go nicely with this. But it almost has a copper or a bronze look to it. Really fantastic, and you can still see that iridescence that you get from having GHI and Het Red Axanthic together. Really just an incredible snake. Super happy with how this came out, and it was really hard to reference and try to confirm that Het Red Axanthic was in it because I couldn't find any of those combos online. And one of the combos I found with GHI, Het Red Axanthic, and another genetic that somebody had posted, and I'm not going to get into specifics, I just didn't agree that that animal was what it was listed as. So the older this gets, the more confident I am that it has the Het Red Axanthic in it, especially as I see more examples in person of the GHI and just the black pastel. I haven't hatched that out. I was fortunate enough to skip that step and actually hit all three genetics in this snake. And this guy is really cool. I mean, just look at that. Look at that pattern. How cool is that? GHI, Het Red Axanthic, and black pastel is one cool snake. Folks, I hope that cleared the air on some of this confusion surrounding the worst name for a ball python gene, Het Red Axanthic. Feel free to comment down below and let me know what you think of this project. I'm your host, Nick Scholl, and thanks for watching this episode of BP News. Until next time.